In the southeastern corner of South Africa, where wild nature still echoes with its ancient call, lies a land cloaked in golden grasslands, dense shrubs, and underground streams winding through cracked, arid soil. This is Kruger National Park, one of the last remaining places where nature has not been fully taken over by man. Among the fierce beasts of this land, one male lion stood out above all others. The locals called him Tau Morena, which means King of Beasts in Swana. The name was not just a nickname, it was a recognition of his true power. His mane was thick and golden, cascading down his shoulders like sunlight that had settled on him without fading. Every step Tau Morena took left behind a heavy air of dominance that made other animals instinctively clear the way. His eyes gleamed like blades and felt as cold as the night wind. His face showed the calm of one who had endured 100 battles, but also the loneliness of a king with no more challengers. He lived alone. Unlike other lions, he had no pride. For the past 3 years, no creature had dared to invade his territory. Even the ruthless, numerous hyenas quietly retreated when they heard Tau Morena's roar echo from afar. One sweltering afternoon in mid-September, a time when the heat of the dry season and the hunger of predators reached their peak, Tau Morena appeared near Lake Malamhala. In the distance, a herd of antelope grazed quietly, unaware they were being watched. The evening breeze carried little scent, which worked to Tau Morena's advantage. He had learned long ago that hunting was not just about strength. He crouched behind thorny acacia bushes, his eyes fixed on the lead antelope. It was a large and muscular animal, but its back legs had a slight limp. It could have been an old wound or simply age. Either way, it was the perfect target. Strong, but with a weakness, just like everything else in nature. Tau Morena waited. He watched the herd for so long that the sun began to tilt westward. When the surface of the lake reflected a deep gold and crimson like blood, he began to move. Slowly, like a shadow slipping along the edge of the world. Then suddenly, like a lightning bolt across a clear sky, he sprang forward. The herd didn't have time to react. Dirt flew, grass scattered under pounding hooves, and panicked animals splashed into the lake. The targeted antelope, though injured, leapt into the water, driven by sheer instinct. Tau Morena followed without hesitation, but he hadn't expected the lake to be so deep. The moment his claws touched the surface, his nearly 200-kilogram body sank almost instantly. The icy water wrapped around him like a net, tightening with every second. He struggled, but each movement only made the current stronger. Every thrash dragged him deeper into an invisible spiral. The flow beneath the surface pulled at his mane, making it impossible for his head to rise. This was the lion who once scattered young elephants with a roar, who had killed 3 other lions in a single week. Yet now, he could not defeat what had no form: the cold, the weight of water, the blindness of drowning. He was no longer a king. He was a creature sinking silently. The last light of day sparkled through the water, casting a glow on his still face. In that moment, time seemed to stop. A king was leaving his throne, not through defeat, but through nature's quiet surprise. Not far from the lake, a land cruiser was rolling slowly along a dusty red trail. Behind the wheel was Cabello, a young ranger born and raised in a small village at Kruger's Edge. With messy hair, sharp eyes, and boots worn thin, Cabello didn't look like the ideal forest officer, yet he was known as the sharpest eye on the team. He didn't love Kruger for the paycheck, nor for fame. To him, the forest was home. It was where his mother had taught him to recognize antelope tracks, to tell the difference between a cheetah's call and the sound of wind hitting a baobab in the dry season. But today, a nameless worry stirred in Cabello's chest, a sense that something wasn't right. He stopped the vehicle when he noticed a strange ripple on the trail ahead. Raising his binoculars, he scanned the direction of Lake Malamhala, a place where nothing usually stirred at sunset. Then he saw it. The water's surface was churning. Something large, not an elephant, not a crocodile, was sinking. Cabello grabbed the radio, but didn't press the button. He needed to confirm with his own eyes. He jumped from the truck and ran toward the lake. His boots pounded on hot rocks. His heart thudded. As he neared the water, a patch of golden-orange mane surfaced, still beneath the ripples. He froze. A lion. Number. It was Tau Morena. Without thinking, Cabello stripped off his jacket, pulled the knife from his belt, and dove in. The lake was colder and heavier than any stream he had crossed. The first dive revealed nothing. The second, still no trace. On the third, his hand touched the tangled mass of fur. The lion was limp. Cabello grabbed the lion's foreleg, kicked hard, and pulled. Each effort burned the air from his lungs. When they reached shallower water, he collapsed, barely able to keep the lion's head above water. Summoning his final strength, he dragged the body to shore. Nearly 200 kilograms of soaked muscle lay on the grass. The lion's chest didn't rise. His eyes remained shut. He seemed lifeless. But Cabello wasn't ready to give up. He pressed his ear to the lion's chest. Nothing. He began CPR. 1 beat, 2, 3. Sweat poured. His arms trembled, but he kept going. 7 minutes passed, far too long for any creature. Then, a sound. A soft breath. Cabello looked up. The lion's eyes were still shut, but a faint stream of air passed through his nostrils. He was alive. Joy surged through Cabello. His hands shook as he pulled out an emergency syringe from his shoulder pack and injected it into the lion's heavy muscle. He knew the dose, the spot. Rangers are taught this early on, not to heal, but to preserve life until help comes. He stepped back. A man and a lion lay side by side, panting in the fading twilight. There was no applause, no audience, only breath, the smell of wet soil, and the cool mist still hanging in the air. Night fell quickly. The calls of owls echoed. Fireflies danced above the lake. Cabello lit a small fire, distant enough not to startle the lion. He placed a survival blanket beneath the lion's body and draped another loosely across its back. He did not sleep. All night, he listened to the lion's breathing, watched its chest rise faintly, then stronger. Sometimes it groaned, sometimes it stretched a paw, as if dreaming. Just before dawn, the lion opened its eyes, still cloudy, but alive. Cabello stepped forward. He showed no fear, no dominance. He sat and whispered, "If you're awake, know that not all humans are your enemies." For the first time, Tau Morena, who had never bowed to any being, did not snarl. He did not flee. He simply looked at Cabello, then closed his eyes, as if in agreement. That morning, the first light of sun touched the lake. Tau Morena stood, shaky but firm. He walked around Cabello's truck, lifted his head, and let out a roar. It wasn't loud, but it held more than power. It was thanks. Cabello called for help. While waiting, he sat beside the lion and offered a piece of dried meat from his kit. The lion ate slowly, then looked at him. It was not instinct. It was something more. Maybe recognition, maybe trust. When the rescue team arrived, they witnessed a surreal sight. A young ranger sitting beside a lion, alive after nearly drowning. The two, peaceful like old friends. After checking his condition, they decided not to relocate him. The lion didn't need treatment. He needed freedom. They returned him to his territory. Since that day, anyone passing through the eastern forests of Kruger tells the same tale. Whenever Cabello's Land Cruiser appears, a large silhouette quietly trails behind. No threat, no disruption, just presence. They no longer call him Tau Morena. Now they call him Morena Cabello, the king reborn by human kindness.